friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side, and, well, Happy New Year. Yep, here we are with the first official review of 2020. The Grudge was directed by Nicolas Pesce and is the second remake of the classic Japanese horror film The Grudge, and in this time there's a police officer investigating a house where the Grudge happened, and then a bunch of other people experience the Grudge, and that goes on for about an hour and 37 minutes. And if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you live talking by movies. But anyways, so, let me just get this out of the way at the beginning. I have not seen any of the previous Grudge movies, not that 2004 remake or any of the ones from Japan, so I am not coming into this from any sort of Grudge fans perspective or anything. I just kind of saw this movie because it was the first new release of the year and I wanted to, make a video. So, let's get into it. So, a couple positives. First, I do think it's kind of interesting how they try to tell the story, with these different groups of people experiencing the Grudge in this horrible household over a span of a couple years. It's kind of cool, but doesn't fully work. We'll get back to that in a little bit. And I also do kind of like how the movie ends, where it all just kind of culminates together and then ends on a very unsettling note, which are my favorite type of horror movie endings, so that was pretty cool. But besides that, so, going back to the characters, I think there's just unfortunately way too many characters in this movie. The movie kind of treats them all like they're rather big deals, but really, they're not really, and they're not particularly interesting. The one that does kind of stand out to me, though, is John Cho's character. He plays this realtor who, of course, succumbs to grudgy things. I thought he was actually kind of cool in this movie, and he was, like, the most charismatic one in there. But beside from that, this movie just checks off every horror movie cliche that every supernatural, spooky haunted house film has done in the last couple of years. Everything from the characters seeing spooky creatures in their everyday life to, of course, cheap jump scares. But one thing I will say about the jump scares, though, is that they are cheap and they're not very effective. But I will say, at least with the sound effects, instead of them sounding like BOOM, they're a little bit more toned down in this movie. So instead of it being this loud, monstrous thing, it sounds a little more like BOOSH. But I think the worst part about it is the fact that it's just simply boring. Yeah, it's a boring movie. It's only an hour and like 37 minutes, but it feels significantly longer than that, so it's an incredibly slow movie, which isn't always a bad thing, but when you don't have anything interesting to do or say in your movie, then it becomes a bad thing. On top of that, with the boring characters and the horror cliches, it just wasn't a very great experience in the movie theater. And also, this just kind of cementing my feelings about a lot of supernatural horror lately, where I think it's just time to let supernatural horror just go away and just try some new things, because I'm just really burnt out by all the supernatural horror stuff. But I think I do need to clarify that thought really quickly because, I think pretty much every horror film has some kind of supernatural element to it, like Freddy Krueger, with going through dreams and killing people and stuff. So I'm not saying get rid of every horror film with supernatural elements. I'm just talking about stuff that involves demons, haunted houses, ghosts, spirits, evil possessions and things like that. That much, I think that just run its course. So really, I think it's just time for supernatural horror to just go away, go bye-bye for a few years, maybe come back with some fresh new ideas, but in the meantime. So all in all, the Grudge remake is not exactly the strongest way to start out 2020, so your best bet's probably just to wait for some other movies to come out this month, even though it is January, kind of the absolute worst month for new releases, but, there's bound to be something decent in January. There's usually like at least one. Maybe, I could dream, can't I? So, those are my thoughts on The Grudge. And again, if you ever want to make sure to hit that subscribe button if you live talking by movies. But anyways, so if you guys have seen this movie, then tell me your thoughts about it down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.